French has cast their vote last night in the second round of snap general election called by President Emmanuel Macron after his centrist party suffered the major defeat in the European Parliament vote. The dust has settled, and we are joined by Romain Le Quiniou, Managing Director of Eurocreative, to tell us more about what is going to happen next. So, sir, welcome to TVP World.
Thank you very much.
So we have witnessed the results of this election. Some might call it very surprising. And of course, the mood is celebratory on the left side. However, we are looking down at a hung parliament right now. And if you can tell us, what does that mean? And will there be political gridlock going forward?
Yes, absolutely. We can't be sure of what will happen basically in the next few days, next few weeks, next few months. But what we know for now is that it was a very important surprise yesterday evening, because the left came first in terms of seats. Nobody really expected that, from experts to politicians to media. Nobody saw these numbers, final numbers, coming up. We had many surprises. The first one, of course, I said it was the victory of the left, of the coalition of the left. The second was a not so bad result for Ensemble, the coalition representing the ex-presidential majority from Emmanuel Macron and his partners, allies. And the final surprise was, of course, the weak number, the limited number of seats for the National Rally. That being said, now what's going to happen? The tradition in France means that the president has to appoint the leader of the most important political force. As of today, the most important political force is the new Popular Front, so this left coalition. And within this coalition, we need to find the political force which is the most important. If we follow the tradition, we can expect that Macron would appoint the leader of extreme left, La France Insoumise. But this is a situation which is very undecided, and as of now, we know that the parties from the left coalition are negotiating and see if they can agree on nominating themselves the potential candidate for the prime ministership.
Right, that's right. I believe that when Jordan Bardella wanted to have this debate with Jean-Luc Mélenchon, he said that the left has not decided who will represent them as a potential prime minister, right? But let me quote Politico for you, as they're saying that Macron's initial aim was to stop Le Pen's party from winning. However, instead, their efforts handed the initiative to the other side of French politics, the left. So both right and left to President Macron are extreme, from what he said. So do you think that he will be able to navigate that relationship moving forward? What kind of policies will be put on hold? What can we expect?
Yes, so the first thing to say is that, of course, in terms of seats, the National Rally, the extreme right, was quite limited. But if we look at the popular vote, the National Rally is by far, and very, very far, the first and the most important political party in France today. So that's something we need to keep in mind. In France, we have a very specific political system which allowed basically parties from the left to the center right to kind of cooperate in the meaning that doing this, what we call here the barrage républicain. So in this way, we had quite limited numbers for this extreme. What we see as well is that absolutely there is now on the left, the most important force is an extreme party, the extreme left party, and on the right, the most important political force is on the extreme right, which means that we have a very likely scenario into which we could have for, let's say, 1 year, for example, because this is the date for the next potential dissolution of the National Assembly, 1 year of political blockade, because we cannot see, and if we look at the declarations from the political leaders yesterday, we see that most of the political parties are not willing to cooperate and are not willing to have cooperation in the parliament, right? And so we need to say also that in France, we don't really have this culture of political compromise, of parliamentarism. So it's a brand new thing for French political forces, and we need to see who is going to accept some compromises, who is going to moderate its positions to basically govern a country between different political forces.
Right, going back to what you mentioned earlier, this victory for the left comes as a surprise. Well, there were like three surprises, as you mentioned, and it probably partially has to do with also what you mentioned to be a very specific political system. After the first round of election, there were some very expert political maneuvering with the horse trading going on that eventually led to the victory of the left-wing parties, as well as an ensemble doing as well better than projected. Now, my question would be, with the National Rally still garnering 37% of the national vote, do you think that this, even though the left was able to win with these political maneuver, it essentially allowed them to not address the issue that is letting the right wing gain so much traction and kind of just in a short term throwing a blanket over it?
Well, hopefully people will realize, and politicians from different parties will realize that the gravity of the situation in France, because there's 37% that you are right to mention are not going to disappear, and it's not going away. It's not because you, especially in a system where you might have some political instability, some political crisis, and maybe even an institutional crisis if we are not able really to form a government. But at the same time, this hung parliament could also lead maybe later to a kind of technical government that will depolarize the situation. So really, as of today, it's very undecided on how it will evolve. That's for sure. What we know is that the National Rally is first and by far, and now it needs to lead to some evolution of the French system. Evolution meaning that political forces needs to find a solution to have a government, because having no government as of today, considering the external challenges, the situation in the country, the needs of the people, it's not possible to not have a government. And at the same time, it's very important also to see how these political parties will evolve, will negotiate, will cooperate within across the spectrum, but also within coalitions. Because as we know, as for the moment, we have a kind of tripolarization: the left, led by the extreme left, the center, led by President Macron and his allies, and finally the far right. The moderate right is quite limited still, so we need to see if there will be restructuration, divisions, cooperation, and to what extent within the left bloc, within the left coalition. Is it possible to have a moderate left rejuvenating itself? We know that the Socialist Party is probably, one of the biggest victory yesterday. This is one of the biggest winner of these elections. And at the same time, should we expect re-energization of the center-right? Can it be through the Republicans? Can it be through a small political grouping within the former majority? We have many questions left for answer today. What we know is that we need to find solutions, because if we don't have political solutions, then this is the perfect way for victory of the National Rally next time.
So just let me ask you one last quick question about the French public. After the first round of the vote, there were massive demonstrations. How do the French feel now?
Well, yesterday a few protests, I think, from the left, basically happy protest, if I can call it like this. But for the moment, we don't really know. We will see how French people feel. We will see how people perceive this surprise also, and if they understand how it's going to work, and how they will perceive the political negotiations in the next few weeks and next few months.
Romain Le Quiniou, Managing Director, Euro Creative, thank you, sir, for being with us this morning and for your insights.
Thank you very much.